First story. My jealous wife knew I had a daughter before marriage, but now she wants me to kick my daughter out of my house, saying she and her son won't be comfortable in front of strangers. I lost it and just told her to move out. My daughter Anna is 16 years old. She was an accident when I was 24. Anna's mother and I were never together as a couple because it was a one-night stand. But we have maintained a friendly and healthy co-parenting relationship since she was born, and we became good friends. My daughter's family has been living on another continent for a few years with her mother and stepfather. But she wants to come back because she doesn't feel comfortable there and misses her family and friends. Anna doesn't know their language well, and it's still hard for her to learn it fully. So she feels really lonely there since it is different to speak your native language than to make friends by speaking a foreign language. I spoke with my daughter's mother, and we thought it was a good idea to let Anna live with me. Her room is now my home office, but I can easily put together a room for her again. We didn't confirm anything. I talked to my wife about it first, and I was sure that she was going to be okay with that because we literally talked about that possibility before. The problem is that my wife doesn't want that to happen. My wife and Anna have never been close because they only met in person for our wedding when I was able to pay for a ticket for my daughter to come. That was the last time I saw my daughter in person too. Plane tickets are too expensive, but they do tend to talk a little bit when I make video calls with Anna every day, but not too much. Anna also talks to her brother, and he likes her a lot, even if they just see each other on video calls. My wife says Anna is not going to feel comfortable in a house with strangers, and I told her that we are literally her family, but she said no. She and our toddler are not Anna's family because they barely know her in person. It honestly hurts me that she thinks that way, but I understand her point of view, even though our toddler is Anna's brother. And it really annoyed me that she said that because our little one really loves his sister, even if they just see each other online. I had an argument with my wife about it, and I ended up telling her that my daughter will always come first of all, because it's true that for me, my children will always come before any other person, and she knew very well about my daughter when we married. My wife got angry and said that bringing Anna home would change how we handle ourselves, and that she doesn't want to be a stepmother. She said that Anna lived with her mother on another continent, so it's not the same as having her right here every day. I told her that no one is asking her to be a stepmother because I will be the one who takes care of her as always. My daughter used to stay many days and even months with me, and I was the one who took care of her. I'm not going to give my wife all the work because I was a single father for a long time, and I know how to take care of my daughter. I work, I clean, I cook, and I take full care of our son when she works and wants to go out and do something just like she does with me. We both support each other in raising our son. I don't know why many people are so shocked about the fact that I take responsibility for my own child. But if she doesn't respect my daughter's presence in the house and hates it that much, then she has all the freedom to go to a hotel room. I was a big idiot because those words obviously ended up really bad, and we had a worse argument. My daughter has every right to live in my house if she wants, but my wife doesn't want that. I really love my wife, but my biggest focus is to give the best to my children, and I would love to have my princess here after years. My wife hasn't been talking to me at all, and she's very angry. But she does continue with the same stance that she doesn't want Anna here at all. And I know I will get angry, and we will end up arguing again because I'm not going to leave my daughter alone either. Edit. My wife always knew that Anna lived with me several days a week when she was still in the country, because I talked with her about that, and the possibility of Anna's family returning to the country if things went wrong. That would have meant that Anna would come back to live with me for many days or even months, like she always did. My daughter used to come to my house every day, too. My wife agreed with that years ago when we talked about it. But now she admits that she thought my daughter was going to stay out of the country with her mother because their business is going really well. Thrower because my daughter uses Reddit too. I changed some data to not make it too obvious. Edit 2. Guys, I've been reading the comments non-stop for 2 hours, and I have too much to think about. Thank you very much for the advice. Whether bad or good, this is helping me to reflect on several things that I did not take into account. But please don't be so harsh, because I'm a real person. Comments. Bewitching chick. Your wife doesn't want to be a stepmother. Full stop. She doesn't want anything to do with your daughter. She's going to be awful to her. I would reevaluate my relationship if anyone told me this. Edit. The fact this woman doesn't realize she is a stepmother already is absolutely insane and F it up. Horror-babies. Yeah, I feel like people might get confused. Not wanting to be a step-parent. Totally understandable and fine. You just met someone. They have kids, and you're like, oh, that's not where I want to go. I don't want to be a stepdad. Totally fine. You marry someone with a child already and a weird living schedule and arrangements. And you don't want to be a stepmom. A giant red flag. Prof Plum did it. TBH, your marriage is over. Your wife openly doesn't want your daughter around. And even if she claims to change her mind to keep the marriage, it would be a lie. Even if she tried to pretend, people pick up on it when they aren't wanted or liked. So your daughter would literally feel your wife's dislike. You cannot bring your daughter into a home with your wife. It would harm her. Scarlet Angel 313. My dad remarried when I was young, and I would stay with him for the summers. His new wife treated me like the other woman's child and constantly made it known I was a burden. And she couldn't wait until I was gone. Not going to lie, that messed me up for years. The difference here is that you're fighting for your daughter and actually making her your main priority. But I feel like your wife might be like my stepmother. Just something to consider if you decide to stay with your wife. Update. 11 days later. I'm sorry, but I decided to delete the post because a weirdo started to spam my private messages with different accounts. And I don't know if I can put the account on private or something like that. I don't use this site too much, but a bot started sending me messages asking if I needed help. So I think my account could get banned because of that person doing this. And I'm too old for this, so I'd rather post the update here where I can at least close the comments. First of all, I want to clarify that I am from a third world country. Here, it is really expensive to get a plane ticket, and if I travel, I must do it with my wife and our son too. So it is too much money that we cannot pay. I let my daughter's mother take her to another country because, like every father, I want her to have better life opportunities. I don't think that makes me a bad father, but I guess the minds that have always lived in privilege don't understand. The last time I could afford some tickets was for my daughter to come to the wedding. Not all of us have the privilege of paying for a plane flight. I've been thinking a lot, and in fact, I'm the because of the way I treated my wife. Even if most of the comments agreed with me, I don't think it was right to say that to the woman I love, even though I was angry. I apologized to her for what I said and the way I said it. But I told her that I don't like it when she ignores me and gives me the cold shoulder when I try to talk about our issues, and the fact that she denied the familiarity between our son and daughter was just cruel. She apologized for it, said she was angry, and said things she regretted. I made it clear to her that Anna was coming because no one could forbid any of my children to live with me. Not only morally, but legally, I am totally obligated to give my daughter and son a house. She tried to argue, but I asked her how she would feel if we divorced, and my new girlfriend refused to let our son live with me just because she didn't sign up for it. I asked her if she would appreciate a man who abandons his children for a woman more than a man who cares about his children, and if she would feel confident knowing that she is married to a man who abandons his children that easily. My wife said no, saying that obviously she knows how much I care about our children and hates the kind of men who abandon their kids. She also said that she knew she wanted to have a child with me because she saw how, even though my daughter was so far away, I made video calls to her every day, and we always helped each other with things around the house. Then I asked her why she rejected the idea of my daughter being here, and she admitted being jealous of Anna. It is something that I have noticed in the past. For example, for one of my daughter's birthdays, I sent money to her mother to buy her a dress that was quite expensive, and my wife just said, "I guess you will buy our son something just as expensive." It was my mistake to let those comments pass and think they were just a weird joke. She said that she doesn't want my daughter to come and took time away from our son. That bothered me, and I told her that if we had 2 children, my time would also be divided, and that, as a father, I could give the same attention to both. Changing our routine doesn't have to be a negative thing, and she knows that Anna is not a problem teenager. We talked a lot, and I explained to her that I just wanted to make everything work for both of us. I apologized if I made her feel bad with the way I treated her, and I told her that I wanted to really hear what was bothering her so we could understand each other better. We agreed to have better dialogue and communication about this kind of thing. My wife admitted that her jealousy is wrong and feels embarrassed about it. But it's how she feels, and she feels awful for feeling like that. I told her that feeling isn't right. Being jealous of my daughter isn't right. And I told her that it would be okay to start going to the psychologist if we want to fix this, because I'm not going to leave my daughter live in a place where she doesn't feel loved. My wife accepted after talking about it a lot these days. And she wants to work on herself about that, because she doesn't like feeling like that about a little girl and knows it's wrong. My wife and daughter always had nice treatment. When I make video calls with Anna, my wife usually talks a little, but not that much. I think my mistake was not offering my wife to make video calls alone with Anna like Anna does with my toddler sometimes. My daughter really likes my wife and calls her auntie, even if they don't know each other too well. So I don't want her to know how my wife really feels about her. I offered to teach my wife how to play the same video game I play with my daughter so they could play together and get to know each other more. I know Anna would love that. They both have a lot of the same interests. She accepted and said she loves me and wants to try it for me and for our toddler. If I leave my wife, I would be breaking my son's house. He's my baby too, and the last thing I want is to let adult matters affect him. I don't want to do that, and I love this woman. I want this to work, and I'm going to do my part for it. But the first moment she treats my daughter badly, I will end things with her. And I clarified that to her, and she was right with that and promised me to work on this. I still haven't confirmed anything to Anna's mother about the date on which our daughter can come since I need to fix the room for her first, and I want my wife and little girl to get to know each other better. Talking about it with my psychologist, he told me that the best thing is always to get them closer little by little before Anna comes to live here. These last 4 days, my wife and Anna have been talking longer, and I told Anna that we could teach my wife how to play with us. Anna feels really comfortable talking with my wife, and they started talking about random things, which I feel out of, because I don't understand the things they talk about. But I'm pretty glad to see that they actually have things to talk about. I suppose a lot of people are going to call me an idiot for not divorcing my wife, because that was what most of the comments told me. But it's not all that simple as, yeah, we argued, so let's get divorced and have 50-50 custody. And I personally think it's been better for us to have spoken up like mature people instead of just getting divorced. Seeing that my wife has opened up to me and is trying to work things out, I prefer to give this a second chance and hope that she can see my daughter as her friend, and even as her family if she allows it to herself. Your wife is going to treat your daughter badly. No one can read the future to say that, but I can work to make that future not happen. In the meantime, I prefer to maintain a positive attitude since my wife has never behaved badly with my daughter. And my daughter knows that if she feels uncomfortable, she can talk about it with her mom, stepdad, or me, as we always teach her to talk to us about anything that makes her uncomfortable. Anna has a sharp tongue, so I doubt she'll stay quiet if my wife makes any comments that make her uncomfortable. I'm not going to force them to be best friends. I want them both to flow on their own. I'm also not going to use my daughter as a free babysitter, as many in the comments suggested as a supposed solution. And both she and her brother can live in this house as long as they want. Edit. In the previous post, several people said that my wife also made a post here, but it's false. She doesn't use this site. Edit. I don't understand why, but I've been getting a lot of notifications from that bot from a Redditor who thinks I need help and private spam messages from different accounts created literally today. I really don't know who's doing this, and I don't understand what the fun of annoying someone like that is. Just block me. Update. 5 weeks later. I didn't really think about updating again, but I remembered that I have the account, and I thought, why not? Since I have free time in this moment while I take care of my toddler. My daughter and my wife's relationship is going very well. They both make video calls to watch some series together that they both like, and they have even started to have inside jokes that I don't understand. But I think that's something good. Although to be honest, now I feel a little left out just joking. My wife has been going to the psychologist and me too. I want both of us to get better together to work on her insecurities and problems, because she knows that feeling jealous of my daughter is not good at all. A few weeks ago, she talked to my daughter about her feelings towards her and apologized. My daughter was quite surprised to learn that my wife felt this way, but she accepted the apology and told her that she understood her. I left them talking alone that day so they had privacy, and after that, they had a closer bond. My wife said that my daughter told her that she will always respect someone who is sincere and wants to be a better person. In the previous post, many said that I decided to bring my daughter without talking about it with my wife before. But that's literally what I did. I never confirmed anything to the mother of my daughter until I spoke with my wife. I was never the partner of my daughter's mother, BTW. Many comments mentioned her as my ex-wife, but we were never anything. The talk about bringing my daughter back was paused because I wanted them to know each other better before living all together. But my wife started to talk about how she wants to decorate the bedroom and rejected all my ideas because they're too boring for a girl. So she's having fun redecorating the room with our toddler, who's really happy to see his sister in person. We still haven't arranged a date because my daughter's mother has to talk with her high school about the problems there and everything, and I have to prepare everything here too. But all is going well step by step. Comments. Muted_Piccolo 278. Well done on supporting your wife as she navigates her new role and giving them time to get to know each other. Chris and Bliss. Happy things are improving. I hope that whenever she moves in with you, everything stays good. Also, don't stop the therapy appointments whenever she comes. Your wife is going to need their help during that time. May it be with jealousy or just helping her interact in person with your daughter. Second story. I caught my husband cheating after his affair partner contacted me begging to delete her naked pictures my husband has after their breakup. So I checked his phone only to find out he is a pedophile who ruined 39 lives and even shared my naked pics. So I tormented his life and filed for divorce. I'm sorry this is long. So I, F26, have been married to my M32 husband for 3 months now. We dated for 3 years, and everything was great. We bought and settled into a house, and I was ready to live the rest of my life in blissful peace. Until I got a "Hey girl" text. This girl messaged me to say that my husband and she went on a few dates, and when they decided it wasn't going to work, she asked him to delete all her sensitive pictures. Apparently he laughed and said, "That's not how that works." Before blocking her, she was frantic. Apparently, he asked her for some really provocative niche pictures, and they had her face in them. She found his real profile since the old one was under a fake name and saw that he was married. They last saw each other 2 months ago. At first, I thought this was just some stupid, bitter ex trying to ruin a newlywed marriage, so she sent proof. I'm talking screenshots, pictures, and the nail in the coffin, a selfie of them in our bedroom standing at the mirror naked with his hands on her chest. To say I was devastated was an understatement. The person made a vow to love me forever, turned around a month later, and F-ed someone else in the same bed we were in. These 3 years had been a lie, and I was the stupid one all along. The woman apologized out of her arse, saying she didn't know he was married. She then begged me to delete those pictures for her. My husband was at work, so I went over to my mom's house. I was inconsolable, and I spilled my guts on her. She called my sister since we are very close, and she came over right away. They consoled me and asked if I even had proof. I showed them the pictures the woman sent me. My sister said those could be photoshopped or fakes, and maybe there was an explanation. I needed to see these on his phone myself. My mom also said if I find anything, then we can get an annulment on our marriage, since it's not even 6 months old yet. She had a lawyer friend that she's close with, and she was going to get me in contact with her just in case. So after a hard cry, they wished me luck and told me to be smart, and I went back home and waited for my husband. My husband got home late, and I was already in bed, sleeping. More like a ball of confusion and now anger. He cuddled up next to me, and I felt my skin crawl under the touch of this new stranger. When I knew he was asleep, I took his phone and locked myself in the bathroom. He really thought he was so smart by putting a picture of a car at the front of a photo album to make it seem innocent. When I clicked into that album and saw what I saw, she wasn't even the first one. He had pictures of 5 other women there too, and I knew them. Some of them were his friends' wives and girlfriends. Some of them were coworkers' wives I met at the company picnic. The nature of these pictures differed, but some of them were in the act. And my husband was not the male taking the pictures. Some of these pictures were stolen, and he had a weird spank bank of naked pics that were of my closest friends. Immediately, I sent this album to myself, my sister, and my mom. I then deleted all evidence so he wouldn't be the wiser. But I noticed a little notification at the top of his phone that I wasn't familiar with, so I clicked it. It was a group chat with him, his friends, and some coworkers. They were all sending naked pics of their wives, girlfriends, and casual hookups. The last message was sent by my dear husband earlier that very night. He sent 2 pictures, one being intimate with a woman and a bingo card with the word "redhead" X'd out. There were likes, reactions, and praises from the other men. Some were complaining that they couldn't find one and asking what her number was. I scrolled for hours. The group chat was started in 2022. These men's partners were not aware that these were being shared. They made bets with each other on whether they could get their partners to wear certain lingerie before the others, and some even made special requests. At one point, all of them agreed to do a bingo card at the start of this year. Redhead, threesome, and public were among those on the bingo cards. They had quite the Dead Poets Club going on. I even found my own naked pics shared, and I cried. These intimate, private pictures of my most vulnerable state were rated and joked about by these cavemen. The number of screenshots I took was ungodly. I was trying to take as many as I could with the names of the women. In total, 9 guys were sharing these pictures. Some were not cheating but knew of the infidelity going on and were praising it. I had to be smart about this and think everything over. I sent everything to my sister and mom before deleting the evidence and putting the phone back. It took everything in me not to shove it where his drunkenness didn't shine. But laying there beside him for a moment, I thought, maybe I could pretend I didn't see anything. Act like everything was fine. Hot tears poured out of my eyes. Just like he pretends to love me. I took off work the next day and went to my mom to start a plan. My sister, being the detective she is, started finding and making a list of women. Lucky for us, these slimy degenerate women kept tallies of how many women they laid, with pictures to prove it. My mom's living room started looking like something out of a crime scene, as the post notes. I'll admit, I cried on and off all day, connecting another red string to my husband and twisting the knife in my back more and more. Out of the 9 men, 5 were cheating on the regular, totaling 38 victims between them all in a 2-year period. I was mentally so drained. I messaged my husband and told him I was spending the night at my sister's, as she had found kittens earlier that week, and they needed feeding every 2 hours. So that's what we did. Ordered pizza, connected pictures with names, cried, and got kittens. My mom was my absolute rock through this. We devised a plan once we found 30 of the 38 women. I went home the next night to not look suspicious. My husband complained of how distant I had been. I gritted my teeth and apologized. I suggested we go camping next weekend for quality time. He loved the idea and said he'd love to reconnect and spend time together. The clock was ticking. I changed all of my passwords, totally closed my bank account, and went to another bank. We didn't share money, but he knew my passwords and numbers. I even released the utilities under my name. With every step, I started feeling lighter. I spoke to my new lawyer and had the annulment roll. I also took more screenshots and was eventually able to install the app and log into his Messenger app on my iPad. No more sneaking around with his phone at night. Then it was D-Day, and we were driving separately to the campsite since I had to work and he had the day off. It was a 3-hour drive to the campsite, and he left at 9:30. I waited 30 minutes and had a moving crew pack all of my things. He paid for the house, but I furnished everything. I rented a storage unit, so half was going there, the other half to my sister. I'll be moving there for the time being. It took about 5 hours to gut the house of my things. I sent my soon-to-be ex a final text, saying I was on my way. He texted back, saying he couldn't wait for a great weekend. I then immediately called the phone company, had his phone disconnected, and turned off my plan. I then made a group chat with all the women we found, and I sent a pre-written message letting them know what I found. And to prove it, I then went on my ex's account and added them all to the slimy group chat. I changed his password and logged out. I am now on my way to visit my sister's. She lives about 2 hours in the opposite direction. My sister decorated the house with his bingo cards and his pathetic attempts at online foreplay. I put the annulment papers where our wedding certificate was, but on the floor because the table was mine. He doesn't know the shoe has even dropped yet, and I wonder how long he'll wait for me. And I wish him the worst luck trying to get home without a call for help or a GPS. I might update, but at the moment I need to focus on myself and focus on putting the pieces of my life back together. Shout out to my mom and my sister for being my rocks. I would have been spineless without them. F you, Tyler, you, and all your friends. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.